What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JB Sports back again with another one. Michael Coppinger is reporting that the WBO has ordered Demetrius Andrade to put his title on the line against Liam Williams out of the UK. Man, what is going on? Demetrius Andrade, man, I've never seen a guy as talented as him and has absolutely fought nobody, has not had one significant fight in his career. The man, I think he's probably around 32, 33 years old, and he hasn't had one big fight in his career, man. You know, he's beaten, I think his best win is probably Providence. That's probably his best win. And, he's beaten Willie Nelson, Jack Kuke, a couple other guys he's beat, man. Frankie Hernandez, that's a guy that's fighting James Kirkland this weekend on Fox Sports 1, man. But the guy hasn't had one big fight. And it's a shame, man. It's really a shame because the guy is one of the most skilled fighters in boxing. You know, the guy is undefeated. You know, it's a shame that the guy is could go through his whole career and not have one big fight. You know, he's been trying to get the Canelo Alvarez fight, ain't happening. I know there's been talks of him fighting Jamal Charlo, but that's not happening because Charlo's not going to the zone, not to fight Demetrius Andrade. He'll go fight Canelo, but he's not going over to fight Jamal Charlo. And despite what Eddie Hearn is saying, he's not going to let Demetrius Andrade go over there and fight Jamal Charlo on Fox. He wants them on the zone because he's still trying to save a sinking ship in the zone. You know, trying to get the hoping and praying, throwing a Hail Mary, and just throwing everything he can against the wall, hoping something stick, hoping to save the zone. You know, when it's obvious that the zone and all the money they throwing around to Canelo and Triple G, they threw Daniel Jacobs some money for the Canelo fight, $15 million. They threw a lot of money at Kovalev to fight Canelo. You know, it's just not adding up. You're throwing around all this money, but the money you got coming in is just not matching up. And that's just the bottom line. And Eddie Hearn is out here trying to throw a Hail Mary, man. Hope he can save a sinking ship. It's not happening, man. But that's why I don't believe the hype about him sending, one of his top fighters that he had signed when he launched his own over there to fight Jamal Charlo. But as far as this matchup goes, man, Liam Williams, he's a UK fighter, man. You know, hasn't fought anybody. He's a classic UK domestic level fighter. Nothing more, nothing less. That's just what he is, man. He's fought absolutely nobody either, you know. He really ain't fought nobody. He make Demetrius Andrade resume look like Sean Porter resume or somebody. Make it look like Danny Garcia resume or somebody. That's how bad his resume is. The only guy he fought that was a high-level UK fighter, basically a mediocre US fighter, Liam Smith. Fought him twice, lost to Liam Smith twice. As we know, Liam Smith, every time he stepped up in the U.S., lost to Munguia, got dropped and annihilated by Canelo Alvarez in AT&T Stadium in Dallas. So that's his best win over a guy. That's his best opponent over a guy that got annihilated first time he stepped up out of the UK and fought elite level competition. So this is just a matchup that Demetrius Andrade, I'm not really all that mad at him as far as his matchup go, because it's not like he's asking for this fight. The WBO ordered this fight, but it should never got to this point. The guy's been in boxing too long. He should have been fought somebody right before this point. If you'd have fought Jamal Charlo, if you fought J. Rock Williams when you was at 154, if you'd have fought Tony Harrison, guys that were at your weight class when you were at 154, if you would have fought those guys, and then a mandatory come up, you got to fulfill a mandatory. People understand. People are like, well, you got to take care of your mandatory. You fought the best of the best, throughout your career. Hey, take care of your mandatory and get that out the way and move on to bigger and better things. But when you look at his resume, Andrade, and he's fought absolutely nobody, this just adds salt to the wound, man. Adds salt to the wound, man, and it's like an icing on the cake, man, cherry on the icing. And saying, okay, it's another nobody, another bum that's Andrade fighting. Never mind that's a mandatory, it's another bum. That's what people are going to say. Excuse me. And that's just the fact of the matter, man. It's just a sad situation, man. But they're talking about putting this fight at Dunkin' Donuts Stadium in Providence, Rhode Island. That's Andrade's hometown. The last time he fought there, he fought Saluki. He beat Lucky there in a dominating fashion. Probably his most impressive win on DAZN since he signed with DAZN. Ever since then, he's had some lackluster performance. His last performance up in Miami, Florida, weekend leading into the Super Bowl, he fought Luke Keeler, and he fought real sloppy, man. But, he's fighting an opponent that he knew wasn't on his level, so he was trying to be impressive and try to go for the knockout, but he left himself open at times, got caught with some shots he had no business getting caught with. But he's able to win and get the stoppage, man, and get on to the next victory, get on to the next opponent. But he kind of, like I said, he took a lot of shots he shouldn't have been taking. He took a lot of hits that he had no business getting hit by, a lot of punches that usually don't hit a guy of his caliber, a guy of his defensive skills. Luke Keeler was able to land those punches in Andrade last fight. Kind of reminded me of Terrence Crawford's last fight when he fought the Green Machine. He fought the Green Machine, and he got hit with a shot early in that fight, almost got dropped, and he took some punches early on in that fight that he had no business doing, but that was Terrence Crawford tried to be aggressive, and was trying to close the distance and try to put on a spectacular performance and get a devastating knockout, left himself open a little bit too much. But I thought Andrade done the same thing. As far as this matchup goes, Demetrius Andrade versus Liam Williams, it's going to be a complete mismatch. Andrade can call around. He think he gonna knock the guy out there, and he probably can do it in the round. He say he can pull a Cassius Clay later on down the line, Muhammad Ali, and predict the round he gonna knock out Liam Williams, and he could go out there and do it, man. This is a complete mismatch. As the great Floyd Mayweather said, there's levels to this, and this is just a whole different level, man. You got one guy on an elite level as far as skill-wise. He's on an elite level, and you got basically guy Liam Williams is a UK domestic level fighter, a rock'em sock'em robot type of fighter that's, take two to land one type of fighter, man. So this is going to be a complete mismatch, but I guess they got to find an opponent for Demetrius Andrade to fight. They were looking for one, and WBO came and ordered that mandatory, so they was able to find an opponent. Because if this opponent would have been ordered, man, it'd have been interesting to see who Demetrius Andrade would have been able to fight, man. Because I know he was looking for some big name fights, and I think he would have probably came up empty-handed in that regard. But obviously, the WBO coming out and ordering this fight, it just makes that it makes Eddie Hearn's job easy to say, okay, well, let's just go on. The mandatory's been called. Let's go and set this up. We'll put it in your hometown. You should have a good crowd out there in Rhode Island, and we'll put this fight on the zone, man. And you can keep your winning streak going, man, because these guys undefeated, man, never been beaten, and they really ain't never been in a Providence Marjorie fight was a split decision, but I don't know what one of them judges they gave that fight to Marjorie. And I thought Demetrius Andrade clearly won that fight. Providence Marjorie maybe won 3 rounds, 4 at the most. So I don't see how that one judge had him winning, but he's never really been tested in a fight. That's how good he is. That's just not because he's it's partly because it's a competition that he's fought. He's not fought anybody of note really. But you can still see the skill level that he had, and it's an elite level skill level that he has, man. It's just a shame that he hasn't had that opponents with an S to put that on display and make it where he can make a case to be on the pound for pound list. But right now, you don't never hear nobody talking about Demetrius Andrade on pound for pound list. But I bet you if they had a pound for pound list for just skills, defensive skills and offensive skills, technical skills, he would definitely be in the top of the class for that. But it don't go by that. It goes by opponents, who you beating. How many different weight classes have you dominated? Have you moved up to weight class and dominated weight classes? Moving up. You are a multi-weight division winner, multi-division champion. Stuff like that. That's stuff like Lomachenko have done, Canelo has done, Terrence Crawford have done. Demetrius Andrade has not done that. He was at middleweight. I think he did have a build at junior middleweight. Now he's gone to middleweight, so he's a two division world champion. But in those 2 divisions, he hasn't beaten anybody of note. That's the difference between Canelo, who's beating Kovalev at light heavyweight, beating Jacobs at middleweight, beating Cotto at junior middleweight. He's beating big time fighters. Lomachenko, he's beating he's moved up a weight. He's beating Luke Campbell at lightweight. You know, beating Gary Russell Jr. At a lower weight. You know, beating Jorge Linares, who was a champion at lightweight. So he's beating big name guys in different weight classes. That's why he's a pound for pound fighter. So you know that's what you got to do, man. He just had bad management, man. He had problems with his contract and with his last promotional company. They kind of put him on the sideline, put him on the shelf. He wasn't able to get any fights during that time. He was trying to work that out, and now he signed with DAZN. And he's over there with all the good fighters in the middleweight division, but he's unable to land those fights as guys don't want to fight him. It's a low risk, it's high risk, low reward type of fight because he doesn't bring a lot to the table. He's not a big draw outside of the Rhode Island, and he's a high risk because he's very technically sound, very fundamentally sound, a hard guy to hit. Defensively is very at a high level. His defensive skills are at a high level. He's just a bad stylistic matchup. If he really wants you to fight, if he really wants to do it, he could just stay on the outside, pick you apart, and beat you 10 rounds or 2, and make it a real boring fight and make you look stupid in the meantime. And that's what a lot of fighters don't want to do by getting in the ring with Demetrius Andrade. But he's gonna have to do a better job of calling these guys out, man. Maybe start bum rushing some of the post-fight press conference, man, and getting somebody grill like Erzalanda Lara did to Canelo Alvarez that forced that fight. He wasn't an exciting fight that a lot of people were paying money to see, but he was able to land that fight because he pissed off Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez went against the Golden Boy's orders and told him to make that fight. And that's what I think Andrade going to have to do. He's going to have to maybe run up in one of Canelo's press conferences. Canelo's got a fight coming up May 2nd. After the fight, bum rush the press conference. Get in his face, say you want to fight. You say you want to fight. Say you quit ducking. Call him a coward. Call him cinnamon. Turn up at the press conference. And then, and see if that'll work, man. But the bottom line is, man, the way his career is going, man, he's going to be one of those fighters that's, it's going to be looked at as a wasted career. A guy that's, got all the talent in the world, but don't have a resume. And that's just a sad, sad situation, man. It's just what it is, man. But that's who he's fighting coming up, man. They looking to make that fight. I think they talking about making that fight sometime in the summertime, but the WBO has ordered, and they should be negotiating. Now, Leon Williams is promoted by Frank Warren, and as we know, Demetrius Andrade is promoted by Eddie Hearn. So that'd be very, very interesting. Those two guys don't have no love lost between those two guys, man. But since this fight has been ordered, hopefully they can come to some kind of agreement. Or if they don't, it'll go to a purse bid. And I don't know what the purse bid is as far as the mandatory. I don't know if it's 60-40 or 70-30 or 65-35 or maybe 80-20 or something, 75-25. I don't know what the split of the purse is, but they might, it could go that route. But I would, if I had to make a guess right now, I think they'll come to a deal where they could, pay Leon Williams more money than he probably made in his career so far boxing, and they'll be able to come to some kind of mutual agreement, man, where they avoid a purse bid. But we'll see. It remains to be seen because, like I say, the promoters don't get along, so it could end up going to purse bid. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what transpires, man. But Eddie Hearn, message to you, man. You need to get this man Demetrius Andrade to fight, man. If you got to send Demetrius Andrade over there to Fox and fight Jamal Charlo, do what you got to do. If Jamal Charlo say they don't want that fight, then this is what it is, man. You go look to make a fight between him and Daniel Jacobs. I know they talking about their good friends, and Daniel Jacobs seems like he's not, wanting to fight his good friend Demetrius Andrade. Forget that, man. They ain't brothers. This ain't Vladimir, Vitaly Klitschko, where they brothers. You understand? They not fighting. Y'all not brothers. Y'all not even related. Y'all ain't even cousins. Y'all not even distant cousins. Y'all can fight. Make that fight happen. You can put that fight on the East Coast. You can put that fight in Madison Square Garden, New York. Or you can put that fight anywhere on the East Coast, because Andrade is from Rhode Island. He do good crowds in Rhode Island. I don't think Jacobs would want to go fight him in his hometown, but they could put that fight in Madison Square Garden and get the people coming over from Rhode Island. You have Jacobs people coming over there from Brooklyn, and they could make that fight. And, it wouldn't sell out MSG, but they could probably do a good crowd over there. I could see them doing around 8,000 over there, 9,000 people over there for that fight if they promote it right, So we'll see what happens. We'll see what transpires, man. But that's what's going down tonight, man. The WBO has ordered Demetrius Andrade to put his WBO's middleweight championship on the line versus Liam Williams out of the UK. His fight is once it gets signed, sealed, and delivered, it's anticipated that the fight will take place in the summertime. We'll see what happens. We'll see what transpires. This is JB Sports, the man, the myth, the legend. I holla.